Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Laurie at Laurie R Creations. Today I'm going to be making a farmhouse windmill wall decoration, and I'm glad that you guys are following along with me as I make all these decorations are going up in my home. So it's exciting. Everything you see on my channel I've actually used in my home. So anyway, I wanted to show you how I came up with this design and how I made this windmill. So the supplies that you're going to need are one of the large Dollar Tree metal wreath frames. I bought these wood dowels at a craft store. I think it was Walmart. And these are 3/16 inch round wood dowels. I used 6 of these. But of course, you could always use also the craft sticks from the dollar store and just kind of glue one on top of the other, make a longer stick. I just wanted a round wood dowel for my project. As realistic as I can. So this is another item I got in the office section. It's brass fasteners. I used 6 of these 1.5 inch sized brass fasteners for my windmill. Then I got some silver and metallic paint and a paintbrush. I bought this metallic paint, I believe, at Walmart for, I think it was $1 or $1.50. And some burnt sienna paint. This will give the rust color look to your project. I already had this paint on hand, but I'm sure you could probably find this at Walmart or Dollar Tree. Also, I'm using a dark gray paint to help with my distressed look. This paint in particular I had on hand, so whatever you have on hand that's gray and dark gray would work. This is chalk paint that I use, but you don't have to use that. You could use just a regular acrylic paint. And then I bought one piece of white foam core board from the Dollar Tree, and I really only used half of that foam core board for this project. Also some cardboard weight poster board. This is going to go on back to stabilize each of the blades on the fan. You're going to want a metal ruler and a razor knife or an X-Acto knife. The metal ruler really helps to stabilize your razor knife, gives you something to press up against to give you those straight lines. You're also going to need a pencil, some scissors, and wire cutters for this project. Okay, let's get started now. So first what we're going to do is we're going to cut the wires on the frame, on that metal wreath frame, and this will give the shape to our windmill. So find the center of the wreath frame and cut along the center line all the way through. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the very top bar of the frame and the very bottom bar of the frame, and this is going to be our windmill form. And then using some of the heavy poster board, we're going to trace a circle. I think it was about 4 inches in diameter, but you can always trim this down, so don't fret, just do a circle and then cut it out. Next, we're going to make our pattern for the blades. Mine was about 8.5 inches long. It was about 4 10/16 inches wide at the widest end, and 1 3/4 inches at the narrowest end. Now, if you go directly across the center of the blade, it measured about 3 1/4 inches wide. So if you do these measurements, you'll be able to come up with some sort of size that I used anyway for my fan blade. You're going to trace this on a piece of paper and then cut it out, and this is your pattern. So then take your foam board and trace this pattern 6 times on your foam board. Then using your metal ruler and razor knife, you're going to cut out each of your blades. So you should have a total of 6 when you're done. I suggest if you're going to be cutting foam board that you lay a scrap piece of foam board underneath so that you can cut all the way through the first foam board and you won't scratch anything underneath of what you're cutting. So then we're going to use the silver metallic paint and we're going to paint both sides of the blade and all around the edges. You may need to do 2 coats of this like I did because it kind of went on a little thin. For some reason it looked a little thin and I was seeing a little of the whiteboard through, so I did a second coat on everything. So while the blades are drying, we're going to paint the dowel rods and we're going to use the burnt sienna. If you desire a worn look to your your dowel rod, you can just allow some of the unpainted wood to just show through the paint a little bit. And then using the cardboard circle we cut earlier, trace it on a piece of foam board and then cut the foam board out. And then what you're going to do is cut the foam board directly in half. And this will be the front and back of your windmill center. Okay, next we're going to paint the metal wreath pieces that you cut out, and we're going to use the burnt sienna, and then once that's dry, then we're going to take a little bit of the dark gray and brush over it to make it look rusted, metal-y. So then when you're done, allow everything to thoroughly dry because we're going to be maneuvering some of it and we don't want any paint coming off, so make sure it's thoroughly dry. Okay, using the burnt sienna, I also dry brushed the edges of the blades and some other spots on the blade to make it look like there was rust there. I painted more rust on the right sides of the blade than on the left, I guess because when a real windmill is up, the moisture kind of sits right on the one edge of the blade more, so it rusts more, I guess. I don't know. That's just the way it looked in the picture, so that's what I did. Okay, then using the dark gray, I dipped my brush in the paint and dabbed it off on a paper towel and kind of dry brushed some of the streaks in here to make it look like more like metal. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay out our pieces so that you can get your blade spacing and placement. So using a pencil, you want to lightly mark the half circle piece as where the dowels rest so that you know where to go back and put the glue to set your dowels in. Go ahead and glue your dowel rods to your center piece. I used extra glue sticks that I had laying around to support the end of the dowel, so while the hot glue was drying, the dowel rod wasn't leaning down, pulling down, and not really resting level with my half circle. So to keep that from happening, I supported it with just a glue stick. It held it perfect size, and it didn't take long for it to dry. Then we're going to glue the other half of the foam board circle to the top of the dowel ends, matching it up. This is the back side. So this one piece of foam board, you can paint it. I didn't, but you can paint it the same as the front, but that's going to be the back side, so no one's really going to see it. Now we're going to glue the small metal half ring to the wood dowels. You don't need much glue to do that. You don't want a lot of glue showing through, so a little dab of glue will hold it. Then we're going to measure where the second wire is going to go, and then the second wire is going to go through each of the blades. So you want to measure where you're going to be poking the hole. So use your pencil and just put a small dot where the blade will rest and where the wire will come through. And then using the end of the wire, we're going to pierce a hole through each of the blades. So it's like threading a curtain on a rod. You're going to put all the blades on the metal at one time. Then you'll space them out later. As you can see in this picture on the left, I actually went through all my blades, got the, and you know, the hole was not so noticeable enough that I felt like I had to go back and paint over, but if you do feel like you need to go back with a little bit of your silver paint, then by all means you can do that. I wouldn't, because I mean, it really doesn't, you really can't see the hole that well, so I left mine the way it was. So we're going to line them up on each respective dowel rod, our blades. Okay, so now here's what your windmill should look like at this point. You've got your small metal piece attached, you've got your large metal piece through the fan blades, and that's just sitting there. Each fan blade is resting on its respective dowel. And now we're going to take the 6 brass fasteners and we're going to paint the heads on them with that dark gray paint and let it dry. Now if you're using chalk paint like I did, that chalk paint dries really fast. It doesn't take very long at all. So once that's dry, then push each of the fasteners through the bottom end of the blade, lining it up with just underneath the smaller wire. And then we're going to wrap the brass fasteners onto the wood dowel, securing each blade into place, as you can see here in the left-hand picture. Okay. And then we're going to cut 6 pieces of that cardboard, and or poster board, And then we're going to glue it to the back of each of the blades to secure the top end of the blade to the dowel. So this is what sturdies up your piece. So make sure you glue it really well. You can get the glue all over the dowel, all over the piece of cardboard, but you want it to be sturdy and firm. And voila, one windmill wall decoration. I want to thank you guys for following me and watching what I'm creating for my home as far as farmhouse decorations. And keep watching because I've got a lot of other ideas that I'm going to be doing. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel, follow along, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again for watching. You all have a great day. Again, this is Lori at Lori R Creations.